Okay, so a man called Johnny Craven, who is known for his music and contribution in the music world, and also big ups on your new release. Well, say new, 2020, but on Bleed Man. It's been brought to my attention that there's been a bit of controversy going on in the music world where he's been getting a bit of hate and some sort of backlash from his music. He feels like he has an imposement on his freedom of speech through expression in his music. Now, I don't usually do this sort of thing. This is actually the first time I've ever done something like this, but I actually feel this is a very sensitive matter, and actually one that I've actually wanted to personally get involved with and help him with, because I feel like there's a huge divide in this sort of topic. Now, his music, obviously, if anyone's listened to it, you know how it sounds, and you know the lyrics and things like that. Some might say it's very aggressive. That's completely up to you. Some people the music will resonate with, some people it won't. But this is where the fine line comes with things like this. So it's been made apparent that a religious group online is trying to, how do we say this, bring Johnny down. I think that's the right way to call it. And the thing is, we've all got this right to a freedom of speech, yeah? This is what our forefathers fought for. It's what the world's based on, to be human and have this right to just say and express how we feel without having any kind of backlash from it, right? So why is it not acceptable in music form when all Johnny's doing is trying to create an art and a form to express himself with no intent of causing any harm or any any kind of misconduct to anyone, cause any emotional trauma? When records like this are made and put out to the public, you can see on the records it has parental advisories. There's always warnings that this kind of music has the potential, the word there, potential, to be harmful, but that's all down to perception. And here's where I think the key problem is with this. It's all down to how you, as the individual, perceive what is being told, okay? Because what the message is being given, what might mean to you, is not what it means to someone else that's listening. You have absolutely no idea what someone else is going through, okay? And that message that is going out through that music to you might be hurtful and harmful and might be the worst thing you've ever heard. But to someone else, that's expressing their inner emotions. That's a voice that they can't find. That's a way for them to sort of merge with what the man's saying and express how they feel, as well as how, how many other countless hundreds of thousands of people feel who don't have a voice to speak on this kind of matter. And sort of, let me bring something up for you here. If we actually have a look at this, so right here, when you go online and do a research of the freedom of speech, it says right here, freedom of speech is a principle that supports the freedom, key there, freedom of an individual or a community to articulate their opinions and ideas without fear, retaliation, censorship, or legal sanction, okay? So nowhere is it there say that because of a religious group or any other group that doesn't agree with this, does it say you cannot express yourself because such a group does not agree with it? Do you want to know what the difference between religion and the freedom of speech is? It's literally just that, it's freedom, okay? Why is it wrong for me to express how I feel, but as long as I'm not hurting anyone physically, my words are perceived through your own perceptive, okay? Something that you might find offensive, okay, might not be what I find offensive, all right? So any such hurtful or offensive words or comments are always marked on the record label, like I said. So the warning is there, and it's up to the listener to choose whether they want to listen to it or not, okay? It's all about how you perceive what you're listening to, okay? It's not my fault or Johnny's fault that you're offended by the stuff that he is creating, okay? The warning is there. If there was no warning and you thought, oh, hey, you know, I'm curious, I want to listen to this guy's new song, and then you went and listened to it and it's like, oh my God, okay, that's not what I was expecting. That's why this warning's on there, because it is just that. It is a warning that it is something that you might find offensive, okay? So if that's something that you don't want to experience, do not listen to it. Why are you taking it upon yourself to ruin someone's life and their career and their art and their passion just because of something that you do not agree with, okay? You might be a small minority of that. There could be thousands of other people out there who that music could be helping, but just because you don't see it as helpful does not give you the right to take that away from someone else, okay? You can have whatever you want to do. You know, religions say do this, do that. Who's got the real freedom here? You know, this man is sending out a message, you know, and giving people a voice to be heard, something to connect with. You know, mental health is a very, very serious topic. I'm very passionate about mental health. You know, and it's so wrong of a religion, or not even just religion, but any group that feels that it's okay to take that from someone. I use religion as a primal example because with religion, you're told to follow this one way. You're told to live this one way of life. You're told to do this and do that, or you're looked down upon if you do something that isn't what your God says is the right thing to do. Why? Why is that okay? Why is that okay? Just because I want to branch off and do something different, why does that make me an outcast? Why? I'm a human being the same as you. I'm the same human being as any Muslim, any Christian, any other religion in the world. We are all the same. Why does religion define us? It's not right. It shouldn't be right. We should all share this planet as one human species, okay? And we should all be able to say what we like without offending another person. Because at the end of the day, it's down to perception, okay? That is the key here. It's how you perceive the message that is being delivered, okay? Because how Johnny or any other artist or any other musical talent might make their message might not be what his actual intention of that message was. At the end of the day, it's how you perceive that message is ultimately what the message means, okay? He doesn't release that track saying, when you listen to this song, I want you to think of this. You should be thinking of that. I could listen to a really, really angry heavy metal song, but inside, you know what, it might make me feel really happy, and it might make me feel really, you know, comforted and sort of really strong and mentally stable. I could listen to a really sad song. It could do the same. I could listen to a really happy, joyful song, but it could trigger the complete opposite response for me. It could trigger a memory. It could trigger, you know, anything that is not what you would think the message from that song is being delivered. Here's a persona, an image on stage, and the message that he's trying to deliver. And you know, people said that it's very aggressive and it's encouraging hate and it's encouraging violence and stuff like that. And like the man says, does he go on stage and tell people to do those things? Does he? No, he doesn't. I've been to 2 of his concerts, and not once has he ever told any of us to go out there and stab someone, go out there and beat people up, go out there and cause hate, go out there and say racial bigotries. He doesn't tell us to do any of that. But you listen to his music and you might think of it as, God, it's very aggressive and it's very, it seems like he wants you to do that. And again, there's that word again, seems, perceive. It perceives that message, but that's only how you perceive it. If you want it to mean that, that is what it will mean. You need to see the positive in what these people are saying, okay? So going back to what I was saying, he had an interview, and long and short of it was, I can't remember the exact words, but you can find it online, and it's very similar to what I'm about to say, but it's like what I just said. He said, does he tell people to do this? No, he doesn't. An act on stage, which is what a musician who plays live is doing. You don't see, why don't you groups do this with actors? You know, million actors that are out there that are sort of, you know, doing films about aggression and, I don't know, sort of all these crazy things you see in films. You don't go out to them and chase them and say, why are you doing this? Like, you know, this is wrong. You're giving off a bad image. Why don't you go after all these, you know, movie companies and production companies and try and stop them from doing what they're doing by making a film about hate and violence and kidnap and rape and whatever other shit goes on in some of these films that you see? Why aren't you chasing these people? Why are you chasing a man who is probably gone through some shit himself? Because most musicians have, and that's why they do what they do, because it's a way of expressing their emotions, but in a way that people who have been through similar things can relate and have a perception of like, shit, I'm not the only one. There is someone else out there who has found a voice, and it gives me a bit of encouragement and a bit of inspiration to maybe know that there is another way, you know? And it's a way of maybe, yeah, okay, enacting and feeling that aggression, but without actually physically carrying it out. There's a thing that goes on in some people that suffer with mental health, and it's like, you know, they don't want nothing more than to go out there and hurt someone. But do you know why they don't? Because they know it's not right. They know they shouldn't do it. But by listening to music, it helps sort of get that aggression out. It helps relate to it, but sort of deal with it in a way that you don't have to go out there and actually hurt someone. Me, for example, I go to the gym. I train in the gym very regularly. You know, and I suffer with a lot of mental health, but I don't listen to this music and sit there and think, God, this makes me want to go out and beat up an old person, or this makes me want to go and rob someone, or anything like that. I listen to this music and I think, fuck yeah, I can relate to this. Like, I felt these emotions. I felt like I wanted to do this, but I sort of flow that anger, that aggression, and that sort of will to know that it's the wrong thing, but power it into something that's the right thing. So I go to the gym and I train and I help myself get fit and healthy from it. And music like that helps me because it speaks to me. It helps me know that I'm not alone. It helps me realize that there's other people out there that, you know, can benefit from this message. But I just want to say that it is all down to perception. It's all down to how you perceive a sort of a message, you know. And groups that are out there that are trying to try and destroy that, I think you should be very shameful of yourself. You should feel very ashamed, because especially when you're sort of part of a religion or whatever you are, you know, you if anything, you people are actually, then I say, quite wrong for what you do, because religion is a form of control, and it doesn't matter whether you say it is or not. It is, because you look at any religion, and if you do anything that is not up to par of what those religions' standards are, you're seen as an outcast. Why? We're all human. Why is that a thing? Why have you got to make someone feel like that? Just think about that for a second.